This is James Arnold Taylor, voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Welcome to a more civilized podcast. This is the podcast you're looking for. You may not go about your business. Stay here, listen, and then move along.
Welcome, everybody. We're here another week.
Yeah, he's
another
Kyler.
Another episode. I sure am. And that guy is Chris.
Yes, I am.
It's no fair when you guys do it that way. I mean, come on. I'm Ross.
I want to say that I did it on purpose to exclude you, but I really just wasn't thinking.
It's fine.
Oh, man. Ross, you've got some news for us, I think, yeah?
I do not.
Ooh, do you have newsy news for us?
I do!
Yeah!
Thought we were just going to go right into the episode.
Star
then.
Wars newsy news. Oh, you know everyone's here for the newsy news, Kyler.
This has easily become now my favorite part of every episode.
I hate
It
you
really,
both beyond words.
It really is. All right. In continuing with our tradition of items for your G-Wiz collection and the rumoriest rumors, that's harder to say.
It is
just
rumorist. It's like the rural juror.
I was just going to say that. Urban fervor.
We have just a couple notes of interest for everyone today. First is the G-Wiz item. As we all know, in The Rise of Skywalker, Warwick Davis did reprise his role as a much older Wicket E. Warwick.
Wicket W. Warwick.
Or W. Warwick. Warwick, whatever.
Yep.
But what at least I didn't know, was that the other Ewok standing next to him was his son.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice, fun
And to
little
clarify,
thing.
it was not necessary. I mean, it might have been Wicket W. Warwick's son.
It is
next
also
to him,
it
but
is also Wicket's son.
Yes, it was actually
Warwick Davis's son.
Davis's son.
Yes.
Which is way cool.
At least the article here says that the little Ewok is also Wicket's son.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they just threw it in there.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just a cool little nod. I mean, well, we won't go into that. My opinions on that.
You mean that it's like about the only fan service that I actually like in that movie?
No, but like, I don't. It's just kind of out of nowhere.
Is.
There's a
It
random.
is,
Anyway,
but-
that's what I didn't want to get into. Stop it.
No.
Anyway, next is our rumoriest rumor. Which we're reporting on because there is a degree of plausibility here, at least. So, season 2, I'm sorry, a sequel series, not a series.
Yeah,
season.
Rebels 2.0,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Rebels is getting a sequel series to the first series.
Maybe.
Rebels
Maybe.
2,
Rumor.
Rebel Harder.
Yes, exactly.
The Rebelling.
This is to take place.
Electric Rebeloo.
Was it 5?
Yeah! Oh, I did not expect
No,
I didn't expect that.
that came out of left
that.
field.
So funny.
Yeah. Anyway, so the series is supposed to take place. I think it said, was it 5 years after? No, it takes place a number of years after the first series.
Yeah.
Because this will be, at least the most popular theory is that this will first start dealing with Ahsoka and Sabine tracking down Ezra. There were lots of ideas in this article that I find less plausible, such as that a lot of this will take place out in the Shiz Ascendancy, and Thrawn will have a niece and stuff like that. But we'll see what happens there.
Everybody's got to be related to
Yeah.
somebody.
But as far as the Sabine and Ahsoka looking for Ezra, I find that quite plausible. And Thrawn's going to be in there somewhere, just because that's the last people we saw them with. But as far as everything else and having it deal with like the Grisk and all the stuff that's coming up with the Thrawn novel, maybe. But yeah, the rumor is we're getting another series of Rebels, and that if it comes true, it should be cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that is our newsiest news.
I have one more item of regular news.
I'm sorry, that's inadmissible here.
Well, we've got more newsy news then. Bring it
So, I am not accepting that.
Oh, dang. I thought he was going to go into it. Then I was going to needle him about just accepting the newsy
on.
news.
It is still
Never
newsy
mind.
news.
So, we mentioned last week how we are on, we're involved with the Life, the Universe, and Everything Symposium in Provo, Utah in February. the weekend of Valentine's Day, February.
Yes.
It's Thursday the 13th, Friday the 14th, Saturday the 15th.
Yes. You can attend individual days and just pay by the day, or you can
Correct.
attend all three. Whatever.
So the three of us are all going to be on a podcasting panel Saturday, February 15th at 2 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be apparently explaining to others how you do a podcast.
Mostly it'll be Ross.
Which, yeah, if they had any idea how little we know, joke's on them.
Yeah.
I will be on a variety of other historically related panels all 3 days. On Thursday, 2 p.m., 4 p.m., and 5 p.m., topics are logistics and attacking castles and forts and violence and killing and how the law deals with that throughout various time periods. That should be fun. That is definitely in my wheelhouse of what I studied. Friday is going to be a long day, 9 a.m., 2 p.m., 12 p.m., sorry, and 5 p.m., how to usurp a kingdom, which should be fun. Mm-hmm. Something I've studied lots. American gun culture and King Arthur, about which I have done award-winning research. So, and then they have me down for a book signing panel, which is hilarious because I don't have a book. So I just might not show up to that panel. Yeah. I'm not sure what's going on.
Just let them know that, hey, if you need the space, I don't need it.
Yeah, or maybe I'll just use it as come hang out and say hi to me and make me feel special.
It could be fun.
An autograph panel.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take some pensive headshots. Oh, man.
Really, it should just be like your Facebook profile picture or something. Oh, no, it's actually a decent picture. No, you got to get a bad one.
Yeah, but it's like 15 years old.
Kyler doesn't take bad pictures, man.
That's true. Very true. And then Saturday...
I will take your word for it.
At 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., and 6 p.m. Woo, that is going to be a long day. So Chris and I think we're both on the 1 p.m. That's the Skywalker saga, what lovers and haters have to say about...
Having common is what
Having
it is,
common,
yeah.
That's right.
She'll be an interesting discussion.
It's going to be very interesting. And then 2 p.m., like we mentioned, is our podcast panel, all about this wonderful podcast and how it gets made and how you can copy us if for some reason you're confused and dazed enough to want to try that. And then I also have a panel on medieval Iceland and nomadic life. So, yeah.
Yep, and I've got panels as well. You can find me on Thursday. There will be a anthology release. The LTUE Symposium does a set of short stories in an anthology each year.
And if you guys haven't read any of Chris's short stories, you are missing out. Yeah. They are
this
really
one's
good.
It's
I liked your last one that you sent me,
thank
though.
you. Thank you. I appreciate
the traveling shop and
everything.
everything.
We can't actually say the name in public because it's in a contest that has to remain anonymous. But
it was really good.
Thank you. That's all right. That's so the story that I've got in the Dragon and Her Girl anthology is titled The Wild Ride. And
have I read that one?
Maybe, I don't know. I lose track. That one's been a couple of years ago that I wrote.
Chris did a really cool one about like these crystal scarab demon thingies that like eat people and like explode out of them. Really cool. Really, really cool. He did another one, like was it the Magician's Granddaughter or whatever it was?
Yes, that will be history. by the time LTUE starts. I'm going to have my author website up, and that one will be free to read on there. So
that one is really cool.
To that.
My only complaint to Chris was that I wish there was more of
it. Yeah, that's my usual complaint with that one, which is why it will probably someday be a novel. But so that's Thursday at 3 p.m., the Dragon and Her Girl anthology release. On Friday at 9 a.m., I have narrative arcs in board games. Friday at noon, I have cooperative games 10 plus years after pandemic. And Friday at 2, I have Life in the Shadow of Death, navigating societies reigned by terror. That'll be fun. And then Saturday at noon, I have Loading Chekhov's Guns. Saturday at 1, the Skywalker Saga. And then Saturday at 2, ours. So that'll be a fun noon 1, 2 right in a row.
Yeah.
That all sounds like a lot of fun, guys.
Ross's schedule just didn't allow him to come to any of them really except the one, so... I was going to give you an out, man.
I was going to say, that's very nice of you to say, but no, none of my submissions got accepted.
That's all right. when we inevitably have some panelists drop out on our gaming tracks, I'm just going to be like, hey, I know a guy. We'll bring you in.
There we go.
So,
There you go.
So actually, what's even funnier is that I'm just going to kind of be more or less Shanghaiing the podcast panel.
Well, it's funny because we all three submitted to that panel, and I specifically said in the panel, hey, look,
Yeah.
there's this Ross Hansen guy and this Chris Baxter guy who need to be in there, and I was the only one that got accepted for that panel, and so I told Chris and Ross, I was like, look, I don't know how to do this by myself, so y'all need to just show up.
yeah. The presentations are typically done by one person, so I suspect they just were like, we're not going to figure that out in the system. We'll just assign it to him.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
still.
Yep.
So yeah, come and say hi to us.
Yes.
So
that's a great bit of newsy news. Thanks,
that's
Tyler.
an excellent bit of newsy news.
It was a great bit of regular news. I'm not sure about this newsy news.
There's nothing regular about that. It was
Yeah.
quite newsy.
I hate you both. Oh boy. Let's get on with this dang episode, shall we? So, we are going to give our own... We are ranking all the Star Wars movies. The theatrical release Star Wars movies.
Yes.
There are
No
12 of
Mandalorian
them.
here.
You use it in this hand.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Kyler keeps looking away from the mic, and so
Yes.
it's...
I'm going to talk like this anyway, just to bother you.
Talk to Vice Admiral Holdo over there.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Holdo. Anyway. Oh, brother. Curse you, Steven. So, we are ranking all 12 theatrical release Star Wars movies. 12, you say? Yes. So that's episodes 1 through 9, Rogue One, Solo, and the Star Wars The Clone Wars movie.
Yes.
That was the
Basically just the first four
precursor,
episodes of the
to the Clone Wars TV series. But that did have a theatrical release. So that's 12 of them. So how we're going to do this is, first of all, our rankings are completely subjective. There's nothing scientific about this at all. It's just whatever each of the three of us decided we wanted our order to be and why, which we'll get into as we talk about them. And we're going to each give our 12th place, then our 11th place, then our 10th place, and so on and so forth till we get to the top. Then, while that's going on, I'm going to be tabulating and mathing.
You know what we should do?
What?
We should do our top 3 all at once. Like each person.
Okay, I'm fine with that. Sure.
Because I think the surprise is kind of gone if you do it.
Sure, that's fine.
I mean, only if they're really keeping track of which ones. I don't mind.
I don't. Either way. And then I'll be keeping track of the scores that each of these receive for an official, at the end of the episode, an official AMCP official ranking of the Star Wars movies. That will be scientific because we mathed. But
We'll be mathematical.
yes. So, and then as we go on, I'm sure some commentary will be provided as to why that particular movie got that particular rank for us. So sit back and enjoy. Let us know what your rankings would be. We saw this going around on Twitter a week or two ago that everybody was kind of ranking their Star Wars movies, and so that's where this comes from.
So what criteria did you use when you sat down for this?
Mostly it was just sort of how much do I like that movie? Would I rather watch this movie or this movie?
Yeah.
Okay, that one won.
Yeah.
Okay, would I rather watch this movie or this movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's basically what I went with. Is how much does this engender a feeling of wanting to watch it again?
Yeah, and so obviously there's going to be things like, well, I like the story that was in this movie better than this one, or, different things like that. But generally speaking, this is if Kyler is going to watch the Star Wars movies, he's going to start with this one because he likes it the most, or things like that.
And my thought was, if you laid out all these movies in front of me, and I had to pick one to watch, that would be number 1. If I couldn't watch that one,
Yeah.
Yep.
then it would be that's
exactly.
number 2 on down
Similar
the line.
criteria then.
Yep.
Okay. Was that kind of what you did?
Yep. No, I started from the bottom up more, but I started from the top. But yeah, just how much do I want to? How excited do I get about?
For
the
me,
prospect
when
of
I
watching
made my
this film?
list, I came up with like my first 4 pretty easily, like spots 1 through 4. And then I was like, the middle gets a little cloudy. Well, I definitely know what my bottom handful are going to be. So I put that in. And then I was like, the middle. Where would I...
Well, and as we've been discussing this, I've mentioned, like, I basically just have this running tally in my head at all times. Like, I didn't really have to sit down and go, oh, well, what will I put? There was only one point on this list where I had to go, what would I do with that? Okay, let me see. Mainly because the Clone Wars isn't usually in my wheelhouse or rankings at all. But for otherwise, like, I have a running rank of, like, this is how much I want to watch them. This is how much, like, this is them organized by how good I think the writing is, which is not quite the same. And so on and so forth.
I think Chris and I are going to agree on number 12. I wonder if Ross will as well. Let's get started. What's your number 12, Chris?
Oh, Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker for me as well.
The Clone Wars movie.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people that have been doing this on Twitter that are just like, well, Rise of Skywalker isn't my bottom, mainly because the Clone Wars movie exists.
Yeah.
For me, it's, I mean, we did our Rise of Skywalker review episode. It's just a complete mess in every way. Like, it is completely bankrupt of any sort of ambition, of any sort of creativity. What writing there is a mess. It's just a staggering amount of just, it's like someone took a list of, what do people, what have people said on Reddit that they want, and let's just tack those onto the worst cliches possible and call that a movie with no grace, no skill or anything. There is no redeeming value here. There's no meaning. And no, that thing you're thinking about, there's like, wait, no, but this is meaning. No, it's not. Mainly because it's contradicted by half a dozen other things in the plot that don't actually add up with that.
I don't need to add my commentary, just a ditto to what everything Chris just said. And Ross, why did you pick that?
The Clone Wars movie? Yeah. Just because it's so completely forgettable. I mean, I can see myself sitting down to watch the movie, and I'm on my phone. And there's just nothing to it that I desire to really see again. Even with all of the faults of Rise of Skywalker and everything, I would still put that in before Clone Wars movie.
Wow. Okay. Well, then I think I know what your number 11 is going to be, Ross.
Are you sure about
Ross,
that
what is your number 11?
Attack of the Clones.
Oh my gosh, Ross, really?
Now, I will say that I actually had to think about this one a lot because Attack of the Clones and Rise of Skywalker really were fighting for that bottom spot for me. But still, it's just, I have an easier time getting over Zombie Palpatine than I do Dexter Jettster and his alien butt crack.
Ross, are you serious?
Yes.
You are a joke, sir.
I knew you guys wouldn't like this. Especially you in particular. I knew you wouldn't like that
Zombie Palpatine is better for you than Dexter Jettster.
That is how much I hate that sequence.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
That explains last episode a lot, actually.
Exactly, and that's why I said next episode we'll bring this up
Kate,
again.
if you have not done so yet, please make a little Ross in a Dexter Jettster cartoon for it. Please, please, please. Oh my goodness, that would be so amazing.
Maybe have Zombie Palpatine hanging in through the window, being like, yes, you should strike him down.
This, I also will say, though, this is subject to change when I've seen Rise of Skywalker more.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the thing of it, is that I still want to know the movie, even though, yes, okay, I know, terrible, whatever. Okay, but I know Attack of the Clones better, and so there's still more of I would still rather go back and watch Rise of Skywalker just to get to know the movie.
Chris, did we do the same one for 11?
No, we did not.
Okay, what's your 11?
Rogue One.
Rogue One.
Yeah. I mean, Rogue One, after seeing Rise of Skywalker, I've backed off a couple of my, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I feel a little bad for calling Rogue One as cliche as I always have, having seen Rise of Skywalker and being like, wow, you are really just willing to dig down deep, and you are digging up a grave to beat that dead horse. Like, that is astounding how cliche you could be. But every complaint I've ever had about Rogue One still holds up. Like, they're all still valid complaints. It's just that that Rise of Skywalker is just worse in every way. But and for a personal viewing for me, its writing problems are more grating for me than those of the prequels and stuff, mainly because it's just a new pet peeve I've developed in the last couple of years, watching all the new Star Wars movies and just seeing how how creatively bankrupt they are in a lot of ways, and just how slipshod they really feel like a lot of what they're producing is relying on the fact that nostalgia and the Star Wars logo is going to carry people through a lot, and I can't really forgive that. It's a major pet peeve for me. So.
Yeah. I went with the Clone Wars for 11, mostly for the reasons Ross brought up.
I did debate that. I debated that pretty heavy about which one I wanted to put where.
It's an adequate opening to the rest of the series as a standalone movie, which in this case it has to be judged as. It's not great. The animation is... Well, it's where they started with the Clone Wars. It gets much better, but it is the starting point, and so there's a lot of things that it's like, wow, like armor is bending because it's just paint, on the body, and
it was pretty janky.
Yeah. So, and the story is very mediocre. Again, as an intro to the whole series, it does a perfectly fine job. But as a standalone movie, it's not great.
Yeah. Shouldn't have been as long as what it was. Should have been a...
Yeah. True. So... There's our 11s. All right, our number 10 spot. I'll go first this time. How's that?
Sure.
I went with Phantom Menace. Jar Jar is terrible. George Lucas's dialogue is doing what it does best, which is irritate and annoy, while being clunky at the same time. Yes, we do get some bright spots. I mean, we do have the Duel of the Fates, which is awesome. I mean, one of the best parts of Star Wars period is that whole Qui-Gon Darth Maul fight. The music is fantastic, but beyond that we have Jake Lloyd's acting, which isn't super great. We have a far too long pod race and build up to the pod race. The pod race itself isn't too bad, but the build up to it just takes forever. It's not great. And then Jar Jar. Whoa. Yeah. Chris, what's your number 10?
Clone Wars. Clone Wars movie, yeah. For me, it's mainly just that it's like, yes, it's very bland, it's very forgettable.
Wait, you mean Attack of the Clones?
No, I mean the Clone Wars.
Oh, right, yeah, sorry.
You're good. The animated Clone Wars movie. Yeah, it's very bland, it's very forgettable. I've never had a desire to watch it, in any form. But it doesn't produce the level of anathema, the level of cringe that I get from my lower two. It's just sort of, and it helps, like, it's not really an objective thing, but it's just like, I didn't ever watch Clone Wars until, like, last year, and I went in knowing that this was infamously bad, and it was just sort of like, meh, whatever. I didn't expect much from a cartoon, but I do expect more from the mainline movies. And so, well, it's like, yeah, it's, and all in all, its storytelling is bland and weirdly serial in nature, given that it's a movie, but it's still more creative and solidly put together than Rogue One and Rise of Skywalker. So,
Ross, what's your number 10?
Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker. There it is. Oof.
Anything more to say on that, or just?
I mean, we've covered it. I mean, cool. I think the reason why it's as high as what it is because I think I can easily headcanon more. I can have more fun with the headcanon I create on my own. Like, I was thinking the other day, it would have been so much cooler for that, the fleet sequence
almost
coming
anything.
in.
Almost anything, yeah. But an actual space fight?
Even just like the introduction to the space fight. Because they build up this thing. They're trying to build up
even one capital ship shooting?
Stop.
Oh.
They're trying to build up this moment of tension, like, hope is lost.
Pride turning his Star Destroyer on its side so that Finn and everybody falls off.
And then they're trying to build up this moment of loss, hope is gone, sort of thing. And then Lando comes in over the speaker. I mean, it's the on your left moment from.
Oh no, it's a pale, sad attempt.
It's attempting to be the on your left moment.
I actually. Sorry to cut in just briefly. We may do this at some point. I literally spent an hour the other day just compiling together this comparison between the quote-unquote on your left moments of Avengers Endgame, The Two Towers, Return of the King, and this movie.
That sounds awesome.
And the quote-unquote I am Iron Man moments of Return of the King with I am no woman, and then the I Am Iron Man from Endgame and the I Am All the Jedi from Rise of Skywalker to demonstrate just how pathetically badly written these moments are in Rise of Skywalker. Anyway, so that'll be fun to get into someday. But anyway, sorry to interrupt you, Russ.
No, it's what we do.
Par for the course.
And so the pacing issues were bad throughout the whole film.
Oh, yeah.
And so with that moment when you're doing this on your left minute, it's just everything just, hey, we're here. Everyone pops in and then you're off onto something else, right?
Yeah.
What if you had actually done things where, so Lando delivers his line, okay? And then instead of just going into the reveal, he delivers another additional, all wings report in sort of thing. And then you get Wedge, this is Rogue Squadron reporting in or something like that. And then you get to see just that same length of shot of Wedge in an X-Wing cockpit. And then, X-Wing flying by. And then you could do this is Phoenix Squadron reporting in. You could hear Hera.
Yeah.
And then you could do whatever other squadrons you have. You could, Alphabet Squadron from the books. You could do all these other things just to kind of pad that out a little bit and kind of give you a ramp up into maybe the rest of the fleet popping in,
Yeah.
You know what? I had such a flow to this before you guys interrupted. It would have been so much better.
Continue your flow with your ninth pick, Ross.
Right. My ninth pick is Solo. Not that I particularly hated it. It just, meh.
Yeah.
Han Solo.
Yep.
It's stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was at.
Yeah.
Yeah, this begins the middle for me. Well, almost. I actually put Last Jedi in ninth.
Wow.
So,
We got it up there, though. That's a good start.
yeah, I mean...
I still kind of expect a little higher, but
it would have been in 11th place had it not been for a year of Chris's well-reasoned arguments. So, yeah.
Wonder where it'll be next year. We'll see.
And Chris, what's your number 9?
My number 9 was Attack of the Clones. Yep. It's the cringe on that those interactions between Padme and Anakin of that romance. I mean, it's still a better romance than anything in Rise of Skywalker, despite what anyone tries to claim. But it's just so bad. It's so cringe-inducing, and it's so central to what the film and the entire trilogy, and it's done badly.
I just had a thought. Here's my train of thought, okay? So you talked about the romance, quote unquote, in Rise of Skywalker, and then I thought about the meme, still a better love story than Twilight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Twilight is a better love story.
Twilight's
than
a better
Rise of
love story than
Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker. Is that the new meme?
It's pretty blatant that Rise of Skywalker isn't even trying to be one. That's the problem, is that you got all these people being like, oh no, it's because they're in love. And it's like, no, they're not. No, there's nothing there in this movie for that.
Yeah.
And it's just coasting on, oh, they were in love after the last movie. It's like, no, they weren't.
And also, just as maybe a point of education, physical attraction to someone is not the same thing as love.
Yes.
Because I could see Rey, when shirtless Kylo Ren appears, being like, okay, it's attractive, but this is not what I want right now. Like, I'm angry at you, I hate you. You may be attractive, which is why I'm going to look away and tell you to put a shirt on. So that's not distracting. But that's not the same as love. Like, being physically attracted to somebody does not mean you love them.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, there are plenty of people that I don't find attractive that if I found them bare-chested in front of me, I'd want them to put on a shirt. So it's not necessarily one or the other.
You're saying I should put my shirt back on, Chris?
No, you're all right. You know you're always all right.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Oh, boy. Let's do number 8, shall we?
Yeah. So this is why actually when we were discussing.
Is this your number 8?
Yeah, this is my number 8. We had we thought we had debated whether or not we were doing a tiered episode or just ranking, and when I had broken this out into tiers of 4 each, I realized that this put The Phantom Menace, my number 8, in tier 2, and that was not acceptable. so I was like, no, I'll have a tier of 5, 3, and 4 then. But no, yeah. So Phantom Menace is my number 8. It's legendarily painful, but it's trite, it's childish in the wrong ways, like not childlike in the ways that are just like, yeah, this is fine. It's childish in the sense of like this is a discongruity between the story you're telling and what you're doing with the characters. And Jar Jar's annoying, and Anakin is more so, and it's a mess, but it's still more cohesive and coherent than Attack of the Clones for me. Not quite as cringe-inducing as that romance, and more original and ambitious than almost anything Disney's given us.
Yeah. For me, number 8 was Solo. It's adequate. You know, it's not great by any means, but I think there are 4 other movies that are worse.
Yeah.
You know, like, it has some fun moments. It's pretty. It has Disney money behind it, so it looks good. But it's not great.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of there, hanging out in the middle.
Yeah. My number 8 was also Phantom Menace. So
There we go.
we agree there.
Okay. Sorry, I'm mathing as we go. I realized that would be easier.
Yeah, that's good.
So, okay. Number 7 for me was number 7. Force Awakens.
There you go.
Kind of like Solo. It's adequate. It's
Yep.
not the worst. It's a rip-off of A New Hope, but, you know, it's there. It's
Yep.
good. Has some things I like in it. Has some other things that are just okay. There's nothing that I particularly, like, hate about the movie, where I'm just like, oh, this is so bothersome to me, you know? It's like, okay, Starkiller Base is pretty cliche, but, you know,
Yeah.
this is Star Wars, so...
Yep, that's fair.
Yeah.
I got Solo for my number 7. It was almost my number 6. I went back and forth, but yeah, it's like, again, it's just kind of bland. I do like Alden Ehrenreich as Han well enough, you know. I do like I mean, I love Donald Glover as
Lando.
anything. You know, it's that's just kind of a given. I love Woody Harrelson, and you know, there's a lot of just superfluous things that I really like, and it never does anything that's quite so offensive that I get irritated. It's just bland across the board.
Yeah.
And so, you know, whatevs.
Yeah.
Watched it twice, which is more than I've watched Clone Wars, you know. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be averse to watching it again, but
Yeah. Ross, what's your number 7?
My number 7 is Rogue One.
Rogue One.
So yeah, for me, I mean, this is the line between meh and oh yeah, yeah, you know, I kind of like that. So this is, I mean, and this is on the I kind of like that side of the line. It was fun, more as a nostalgia trip, I think, than anything else, because I loved seeing, like, that was the first time we really got HD
Star Wars.
well, in
Well,
HD Star Wars, but HD Civil War era Star Wars.
Yeah.
So Star Destroyers, the original
Yeah.
X-Wings, TIE Fighters, all of that stuff. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah. Well, there you go. My number 6 is Attack of the Clones. I like it. It's big war. I like big war movies. It's the first time you see the clones, which I thought was really cool. I love the Battle of Geonosis. The dialogue, the romance is terrible. 3PO in the whole factory thing is awful.
oh yeah. Obi-Wan's pretty delightful though.
Obi-Wan is great.
And Dexter Jetster.
And
I love
the
him.
diner,
I'm
man.
gonna flip this table.
I mean, the diner makes it like almost a tier 1 just right there, right
Yeah.
off the bat.
Mute Kyler's mic.
So yeah, I think, again, it's solid middle of the pack. It's not great. It's not horrible.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. Are we on to number 6?
Yeah.
My number 6 was Empire Strikes Back.
Really?
Whoa, that
Yeah.
far down?
Because I liked the other ones more.
Huh.
So,
Wow.
and really, I know Empire always has and it's kind of changed recently. It's always had the reputation of being the best Star Wars, but then a lot of people recently have been saying Jedi. I mean, it was just the one. It was just in the middle for me.
That's right.
So
It's too dark.
It's what made me decide. Well,
I mean, it's not murdering Dexter Jetster dark, but
it's
Ross would give that like first place.
absolutely right. It's what made me realize that I like the conclusions of stories better than the middle of stories. I like seeing the characters done, whereas Empire
that's common for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
where Empire very much leaves off with, well, there's more to come. So I'm just focused on, well, what's next, you know. So
Yeah.
Interesting.
yeah.
Very interesting. Chris, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is The Force Awakens. It almost dropped down to 7. It was higher on this list earlier until Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker has dragged down everything Disney has done with it for me. Like every single one of them. There's a lot of things that I was excusing that I was like, you know, that doesn't bother me so much. I can forgive that. But Rise of Skywalker really came along and was just like, no. This is just not something we do sometimes. This is our modus operandi. And Rise of Skywalker was just going like, instead of leaning away from these flaws in our writing, we are going to go wholesale. This is what we're doing as our central core of everything. And I hate it. And it has brought down everything that they did for me, at least a little bit.
See, and I almost...
Even aspects of The Last Jedi for me. So
I almost flipped Force Awakens with Attack of the Clones. But then I was like, but Force Awakens doesn't really do too much new. It's really just a New Hope with a reskin. At least Attack of the Clones gave us something new. Yes. We saw
That's
a
legit.
Full-fledged separatist army. Yep. We saw the clones for the first time. We got a big Jedi lightsaber battle, with lots of Jedi that we hadn't seen before. And I was like, seeing those things was really, really cool.
Yep, that's legit.
And those good elements in it are still really good.
Yeah.
Whereas Force Awakens, it's like, sure that you see Kylo Ren for the first time, and that's pretty cool. You see him gun down a thing of villagers, or a village full of villagers. That's okay. We're not messing around, but overall, it's really pretty much just a New Hope.
Oh yeah, no.
So
it's not even trying to hide that. The main thing that puts it up higher for me, and that had put it up even higher than this before, was that while it is not particularly creative, it is structurally pretty dang competent. From a writing perspective, it is... I mean, it's aping one of the most structurally sound movies in existence. So it's not that hard when you're just doing the cliche, you're just doing what's been done before, to just do that and have it come out all right. That's why it's easier. That's part of why Rise of Skywalker is such a disappointment. Is it's like you're just aping what's been done before and you still can't do it right. That's a huge disappointment. Whereas this is just like, all right, yeah, it's bland, but it's solidly plotted. It's tight. The writing's not horrible, but it's not great. It's all right though. It's solid, and so it was always a bit higher for me. But it has, my enjoyment for it has definitely gotten knocked down now that I can see that the things it does poorly are a pattern of bad behavior. So,
okay, cool. Speaking of A New Hope, a lot. That's my number 5. So we've talked about this before, or I have talked about this before on the show, I believe in our first episode, that I only had Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi as a kid on VHS taped from somewhere. So I had no idea that number 4 was a thing that existed. And I didn't see it till I was 10 or 11. And this is 5 or 6 years after I'd already watched all the other ones 40,000 times. And so I was like, this, it's good. It's cool to see Darth Vader and why Luke Skywalker is a hero, but it didn't have the things that I had come to really love about Star Wars, which was a really big land battle, a really big space battle, really cool lightsaber fights. Going from Return of the Jedi's lightsaber fights and then watching A New Hope's disappointing fight with Luke and Vader, or Obi-Wan and Vader, I was like, wow, that sucked.
That's
so
fair.
it's my least favorite of the original trilogy, but it's still top 5 out of 12, so it's not bad.
Yeah. My 5 is Revenge of the Sith. It's still plagued by all the problems of the first 2 prequel movies, just mostly less so.
Yeah.
My main problem throughout it is just that Anakin's arc is so just kind of rushed and jumped over.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, I'm evil now, and I'm completely evil. There's no middle ground. There's no gradual.
Filoni gave us the Clone Wars TV series where we can see a more natural progression.
Yeah. But it's still it's ambitious in a lot of creative ways. It's showing us a lot of new things. It manages to be a rather helter-skelter. We're constantly doing things without being just a hummingbird on crank jumping all over the place like Rise of Skywalker. And I'm a sucker for all those lightsaber fights for sure, and the action's fun, if ridiculous sometimes, and I do like a darker tone. So, so that previously was beneath Force Awakens for me, but is now. It's like, if I'm going to be honest, as far as how much I would want to watch them, it does jump up.
I get the feeling for all 3 of us that these ones that are kind of right in the middle all are pretty close to each other and could be flip-flopped with a rewatch or a rethought, because all those points that you're making, I had Like, I had Attack of the Clones below Force Awakens. Like, I had those flip-flopped. But I also, at one point, had Attack of the Clones above A New Hope.
Yeah.
Like...
well, that's for me, too. It's like Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace are just, like, right there, neck and neck for me.
All of these that are in the middle, like, for me, like, 5 through 7 for sure could all pretty easily be switched around for each other.
Yeah.
And then, like, 4 and 5 could be switched. 7 and 8 could be switched. For each, like, it's kind of nebulous in the middle. Anyway, Ross, what's your 5?
My 5th is also A New Hope.
A New Hope. Well, there we go. I imagine same reasons as me. It's just
basically
it's pretty good, but it's not spectacular in any way.
I do like that it is its own standalone film. Like again, like Empire, you still need Jedi to complete it. But and so it has its own ending. You know, again, like the endings. But you know, it's the basis for everything.
Cool. Chris, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Return of the Jedi. I mean, it's original trilogy. I love it. And often when I'm talking about the original trilogy, it'll be like, well, yeah, we can bounce back and forth on what order I'll put them. But I mean, I love it. It's, you know, I'm not saying anything against it. It just kind of comes in number 4 out of everything.
Yeah.
So as the fact that it is the ending and it has a solid ending does push it to be like, well, it was almost number 3, but it's still number 4, just barely.
I'm also Return of the Jedi for number 4.
Wow.
So same thing.
Shocking. Okay, I went with Revenge of the Sith for number 4. Love that lightsaber battle at the end with Anakin and Obi-Wan. It's just, and the music is spectacular. The Battle of Utapau is cool. General Grievous is awesome. There's a lot that I like about this. It is darker in tone. I feel like the dialogue is a lot better. It's still prequel dialogue, so it's not great, but I feel of the prequels, the dialogue is best in this. There's still some crappy stuff, you know, like, she's lost the will to live. Yes. You know,
you're breaking my heart.
You're breaking my heart. Like, that's not great, but like the whole, you know, Obi-Wan, like, you were my brother, Anakin. Like, dang, that's good. That's good stuff right there. And even Anakin's lines, even though they're a little bit cheesy, they're still really good, especially in comparison, you know, where he's just like, you know, he's like, you know, I don't want to kill you, Anakin. Well, you will try, you know, and it's just like, there's some good stuff.
It's not a bad, it's not a bad for a bad A boast.
Yeah, even just kind of their moral discussion later. You know, from my point of view, the Jedi are evil, you know, and I'm trying to think of what it was. Then at the end, anyway.
My allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy.
Yeah. And it's just an interesting conversation to have in the middle of a fight, and you can see how Anakin believes it, right? And you can see the thought process that kind of gets him there with the catalyst of trying to save Padme, you know? Yeah. I want this, so I will accept the rest of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Do we want to do our 1, 2, 3s? Or
let's just do them in one at a time. I think this has been a good...
I think it's working out? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 3, excuse me, is Rogue One. It's no secret or surprise on this show. I love big capital ship space battles, and we get one of the coolest ones in Star Wars in this. It's awesome that the Star Destroyer getting pushed and crashing into the other one is... What a sweet money shot that is. Like, it's so good. The land battle down on Scarif is really cool. It doesn't make sense narratively, but Chirrut's moves are really cool. And taking down all the stormtroopers, Alan Tudyk is fantastic.
The choreography of those is all excellent. Yeah. From a choreographer's fighting standpoint, it's excellent. As far as tying into the narrative,
and the fact that the Battle of Scarif lasts a half an hour is fantastic. The fact that it just... Because so often in Star Wars, there's all the quick cuts away from the battle back to two people talking, like in Return of the Jedi, which is fine, but it's always like, no, but I want to see ships blowing up.
But even then, eventually it becomes ships blowing up and a lightsaber fight.
Well, right, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And so Rogue One, where it's just like, no, this is a big battle. We're not cutting away from it. Just enjoy the battle as it happens. We're only going to cut away to a different part of the battle. We're going to cut to the ground battle, to space. Ground battle, space.
Well.
You know.
Oh, well, and then we're going to cut to our
Stealing the plans.
Yeah, we're
Well,
going to
sure.
cut to our weird crane game.
Well, yeah, there's that too.
Yeah.
But I love the big battle and that there's so much attention to it in Rogue One. It's just great. And like a lot of cool stuff, like a cool nod to Rebels where we get Syndulla mentioned and then we see the ghost in the final battle. I liked Admiral Raddus, just grumpy Winston Churchill. I think the Profundity is a way cool looking ship, really interesting design. They did a good job with that. So like that movie a lot.
Cool.
Chris, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is A New Hope. It's A New Hope set out to be a very archetypal movie, so and not cliche per se, but yeah, it's trying to follow a formula, and I was like, it's the Paul Hollywood on Great British Bake Off thing where it's just like, all right, if you're gonna give me something I already know, then you have to do it perfectly.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be, and they did. Like Star Wars is clean from a narrative standpoint.
Yeah.
It is just a
Very true.
beautifully set up machine that just runs really well. There is almost no wasted time or space that's not doing something to advance this entire thing, and it works really well. It's beautiful, and I like watching it. I get a lot of joy out of just sitting there and going like, look how clean this is. Like, this is just nicely built.
Okay. Ross, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Last Jedi.
Wow.
See, and this is, again, like we were saying before, like these top 3, really, it's toss a 3-sided dice.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow. Well, I just say wow, not because I'm necessarily surprised. Wow. Sorry, Owen Wilson showed up for a second. We had to kick him out. Because you started much closer to where I did with Last Jedi.
I did.
A year ago, where it was just like, yeah, it's not great.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying it is surprising and a little satisfying to see that it's that high now.
Well, because after
Chris is beaming over here like a proud parent.
I mean, after the discussion we had and seeing, especially how the story beats, they actually do, fit together and everything. All of my complaints about it were just pacing. Like Canto Bight still doesn't quite pace very well. The Fathiers I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I find the Fathier section far worse than the pod race section. I'd much rather watch the pod race than that.
Well, at least the pod race has more to do with the story than the Fathier race.
I mean, it's an escape versus a win my freedom. I mean, sure, but it's also I feel like it's a problem that Finn's entire arc does take place in that 15 minutes that you're on Canto Bight. Usually, when you have it was one thing you said in the episode is you want all your climaxes to happen together. The climax of Finn's arc happens again there, leaving Canto Bight.
The climax of Finn's arc would be on the flagship when he's
right before the beheading.
Rebel scum. No, it's even
even
after that. It's when he whacks Captain Phasma in the face with that sucker punch.
Oh, that's where he says it.
Yeah, where she's just like, it's out. He hits her,
Did
and
we
then
see
she's
Phasma in Rise of Skywalker?
Nope,
Was she
she's
there?
gone. She's officially gone.
She was officially toast.
Okay.
until someone resurrects her.
Yeah.
Well,
but
for sure. We'll see her in episode 10.
But yeah, so the climax of his arc would be there where he hits her, and then she's like, "You've always scum." Rebel scum. Explosion behind me to accentuate it.
But I guess it's more of the climax is where his decision is made, not just where he says it's made, and that was already
well. But that's even so. It's when
him.
DJ when he sees what DJ is and is like, "Whoa, I don't want to be that."
Yeah,
like realizes this is what these are my two choices, and that's not a good one. But anyway, good.
Yeah,
fair.
All right, my number 2. Empire Strikes Back. Solid narratively. We get the awesome I'm your father moment and that whole lightsaber fight before that. Like, just what a great build up, and then such an unexpected payoff. That Vader is his father. Like, dude.
Yeah.
Talk about great, not just narrative, but like great cinema, man. Like, that's just fantastic. We get the Battle of Hoth, which was always really cool as a kid. And you can bet your butt that every winter I would go outside and pretend to play it out, and so many imaginary stormtroopers were killed in my
not imaginary rebels.
No, I was good back then.
Oh,
Okay. I've since
Before he
fallen to
became
the dark
older and
side.
cynical.
Yeah, exactly. but like you got to see more of Vader just being
Those were his
relentless.
yippee years.
Oh, that's right. That's true. Yeah.
Oh boy, you got to meet Lando, who I always thought was really cool. I mean, fat, she's Billy D. Williams. The dude just exudes charm and suave. He's so cool. Trying to think other thing. I mean, the asteroid chase was really cool. The fact that it's not a cave, that it's an exogorth, is really just everything about this movie. I'm just like, man, this is what we want out of Star Wars. It's so good.
Yep, it is also my number 2. And yeah, for me, it's like I love the well executed, like clean plot of A New Hope. That's awesome. But this was the one that was taking the archetype, taking the familiar stories, and doing new things with them. Like that was really A New Hope branched out mainly in technical and visual ways. Like it was very experimental in those ways and very creative and amazing. But Empire Strikes Back is the one that went, okay, but the stories that you would normally get, we're going to branch it out. Like it takes the very simple plot that we've got and makes it more complicated by going, no, the enemy that we normally in these sort of stories would be able to just hate, unambiguously, they're just there to be evil, is Luke's father. Luke's master has been lying to him. Like it complicates a situation that was very clean and simple before that. And I like that. It's a very unusual, like it's become such a staple and such a cliche by this point that it's really easy to forget how unusual that was in these sort of stories back then. And I love it.
Is it Force Awakens for you, Ross, for number 2?
It is not.
Okay.
And that's all. Return of the Jedi, for similar reasons, almost jumps up to number 3 for me because of it's very unusual in this sort of story to have it end with the bad guy being redeemed, so to speak, and saving the good guy, and the good guy winning by not fighting, and I like that. That's very creative, and so I'll kind of waver on which of those goes higher for me. But.
Yeah, my number 2 was Revenge of the Sith. And in particular, as I've been kind of thinking about my reasons why, because you guys put it so much lower, I like the emotional weight behind a lot of the ending. The fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan, just seeing that friendship deteriorating and being torn apart, and they're having to do it themselves. The loss of the entire Jedi Order, which also, incidentally, was also really, really, really well done in Fallen Order, because you're having this flashback scene, and you're going through this little. Actually, it starts even before that. You go through this flashback, and you wake up as the younger version of your character, and you're just wandering through one of the Venadors, trying to get to your training session, and you're talking to a bunch of these clones on the way, right? And they got the voice of the guy from Clone Wars 2, and they're just like,
Williams. That's it.
yeah, and I mean, they're stopping you. They're like, "Oh, where are you off to in such a hurry? Oh, I got some training." And then they're like, "Oh, I hear he's tough, but you'll do great," And there's just this really nice moment, and you go through this training section, and one of the other the commander is also giving you a hard time. Like he shoots at you during the training session, and then you get to the top finally, and you start talking to your master, and you can see that clone commander behind him get the hologram. And then it starts to fade into the same song that they played in episode 3. And you can see your master starts to get the same reaction that Yoda does, clutches his chest and starts to get really disoriented, and then your commander starts coming towards you, and it was just a really, really well done scene. And you get just that whole, you can feel the loss of it with Yoda's reactions in episode 3, and it's all,
That's fair.
it's great.
Well constructed moments. It's true.
My number 1, no surprise, Return of the Jedi. It's my favorite. We get the best land battle in the original trilogy with Battle of Endor. We get the best space battle with Battle of Endor. We get the best lightsaber battle in the original trilogy with that throne room scene. I love the redemption arc, the whole tempting to go to the dark side. Just, it's all good. Vader gets redeemed is fantastic. It's just so cool. Han and Leia end up together. I'm a sucker for romance, so that's okay. It's just cool. Start to finish is awesome. Jabba gets his, which is cool. The Sarlacc was way cool as a kid. Love it. Just love it.
Mine is The Last Jedi. And this is primarily because it's, purely just how much do I want to watch them. Because writing wise, like obviously I love the writing of The Last Jedi. It is more messy than any of the originals, But at the same time, that's because the originals are very pared down. They're clean stories that don't have a lot going on in their main arcs. Even saying that they have more than one arc is kind of an exaggeration for the most part. They usually just have 1.5, if that. Whereas The Last Jedi is busy. It's got juggling 5 character arcs and 3 different plot lines. It's got a lot going on, and considering all that, it is extremely elegant and well constructed. It's like, and I love it, and I love what it's doing. It's the type of story that the older I've gotten, the more it appeals to me, where it's introducing complexities and looking at the grays. And I'm just flabbergasted at how well he managed to do that without abandoning the concepts of black and white, and while still, saying that these are all here, but that doesn't undermine the central themes of Star Wars, and I love it. Love it all.
Yeah. And so I guess that leaves me with the last number 1 spot.
Yeah.
Can you remember what I haven't talked about yet?
I've been trying to remember. Yeah, I haven't.
Kyler has the stuff in front of him, so he doesn't count.
Yeah.
Number 1 for me is Force Awakens.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And part of the reason is sort of a meta reason. So we've talked about how it rips off A New Hope, right? It just is a new Hope. But that's part of the reason why I think it's a great thing. Maybe not even just a great movie, but great for what it's doing for the series, or the saga, or the whatever the name would be for the whole franchise. It's doing a great thing for the franchise because it's pushing us into the next generation, right? It's giving us everything that was good about A New Hope and updating it for modern audiences, which I find is super important for the franchise and for the longevity of it, as long as it's continually used properly, which, I mean, you hope. But I find it was just a super important piece of the franchise for it to succeed in the long run. So...
Yeah, and that was originally my approach to it, was where it's just like, oh, but look at all this. But now, looking back on it, I'm like, I feel less like that's what it was doing now, and more that it was literally just, I don't know how to do anything else, more particularly with JJ. And that part of the reason it's probably the cleanest, most well-constructed film he's ever made is because it was just ripping off one of the cleanest, most well-constructed movies ever made, period. Yeah. But I do agree with the importance of bringing it to a new generation, and just wish they could have done more with that in the end.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing, is that like, I was teaching a graphic design high school class when in the break between Force Awakens and Last Jedi. Everyone was familiar enough with the new Star Wars, but no one had really even seen the prequels, much less even the originals.
Yeah.
So it's important that we do get these as old fans, so that we can keep getting more stuff to fan over.
Yep.
Okay, I have mathed.
Right.
The official... Oh, before I go into this, actually, first off, interesting tidbit. We did not have one single agreement where all 3 of us gave the movie the same rating.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. I thought
we had several where it was 2, but yeah.
Yeah, I thought we would get like at least one somewhere where we all agreed, but we didn't. And twice we had 2 movies get the same score. So how I ranked them is I looked at the scores that we gave them, and if one had one movie had let's see. Oh yeah. So 6, 9, and 11, 10, 8, 8. 2 of those, the 10, 8, 8, 2 of them were ranked higher than the one. I don't know, so I just thought that one would be higher, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
2 of us gave it a higher ranking than the other one, and on the other one, 2 of us gave a lower ranking than the other one, so the one where 2 of us gave a lower ranking, it got bumped down in the tie.
Yeah,
right.
That's how it would do.
Okay. So, number 12. This is the official AMCP approved ranking of the Star Wars movies. First, we have Rise of Skywalker in 12th place.
Yep.
Solid
2 12s and a
womp
10.
womp.
That was doomed.
Yeah, for sure, but only by 1.
I was going to say,
to
because
the Clone Wars.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then we have Attack of the Clones, which tied with Phantom Menace. So Attack of the Clones got 10, Phantom Menace got number 9. So they're just down there.
Well, thank you for putting Attack of the Clones lower, though. That's
I had to. We were going science on this part.
we
so-
have already have already established that is the official.
Okay,
Lower
can I
of
tell you
those
how
two.
hard of a time I've been having separating Attack of the Clones and the Clone Wars movie?
Yeah, that's
I totally just thought you said it the other way around.
Yeah.
Now I know why Chris was looking at me and laughing. Yeah.
Now,
okay, I get
so
to
yeah,
gloat a little.
Attack of the Clones in 10, Phantom Menace in 9, Solo coming in at a middling 8, where it should be. That's pretty close to where all of us put it.
that's fair.
Rogue One, sad for me, okay for you guys, I guess, in number 7.
Well, yeah, you ranked it high, I ranked it low, Ross ranked
Yeah.
it middle.
Middle.
So,
Yep.
that's-
And Force Awakens, it got, I think, kind of middle for you and me, and Ross got it a little high. So then 5 and 4, they tied. So A New Hope comes in at number 5, tied with Last Jedi, which comes in at number 4. Return of the Sith, Revenge of the Sith, excuse me, in number 3. Empire Strikes Back in number 2, and Return of the Jedi in number 1.
Yep.
So that's the official ranking.
Well, there you have it.
Ooh, that was fun. Quick little go through of all those. But yeah, that's there you go. Let us know what your lists are. I'm interested to know what you fans where you put your movies.
Yeah, it actually has been interesting on Twitter to see those rankings. But
You know what we should do? We should have you guys do your rankings, and then like next week we'll report back like what the fans of AMCP, what their official ranking is.
They have
We'll
to post
compile it
pretty
all.
quick.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not next week. Might be the week after, but
Okay. Yeah.
actually that would be the same. Since we're going to record both of those in the same day.
Yeah.
We'll see. Eventually, we'll let you know what you thought.
Yeah. Oh boy. So if you want to participate in that, be sure to follow us on Twitter at More Civilized, and join the Facebook group, A More Civilized Podcast.
Yep. Where you can find such awesome things. Actually, today's is just a little bit more poignant that I wanted to point out.
Ooh.
So today's shout out goes to Peggy Keeger. Kiger.
Yep.
Okay.
Peggy. Hi, Peggy.
Kager, actually. Yes.
Peggy's awesome. She's one of my historian buddies.
I
My
felt like it
days
with
back in UVU.
with what she's posted. It sounded
Yep.
like it. She calls you out specifically, Kyler, and
boy.
saying, "I figured you'd really like this one." And it's a picture that someone has. Well, it's a picture of a posting that someone has put on a wall, just on a piece of paper. They printed something out with a quote on it. And Chris, I want to see if you might get this. Kyler will not. Everybody always figures the time they live in is the most epic, most important age to end all ages. But tyrants and heroes rise and fall, and historians sort out the pieces. You know who that was?
I do know.
That was Jolie Bindo.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
That's right.
That was one of the characters you pick up in Knights of the Old Republic, the game.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's true. That's a very
very
true
true.
quote.
I did enjoy. I saw another reference to him on Twitter this week where people were talking about. Someone was talking about how like, oh yeah, the Jedi need to abandon that whole you can't feel love, can't have marriage, da 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 thing because that was done. The Jolie Bindo had it right. And then someone just commented on that was just like, remind me how Jolie's marriage ended. Which spoilers for Knights of the Old Republic. We don't actually see it, but he tells us about it. It's like, yeah, his wife fell to the dark side and he had to kill her.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well, there's that.
yeah.
Yeah, so no, I thought that was super poignant.
That was a
and,
nice thing, yeah.
And well, good catch, good find, Peggy, good share.
Yeah.
And you can continue conversations with me on Twitter at Mr.
Oh, there it is.
No. Me on Twitter at
Mr.
Random Paladin.
_R star.
Mr. _ random
believe it.
paladin R star.
After so many weeks, today is the day.
I'm punishing you.
Granted, I mean, we have over a year of me saying it the other way
Yeah,
for me to
that's
kind
fair.
of unwire.
It's a hard habit to break.
But, yeah.
Listeners, let Ross know that he's wrong and to change it back to Mr. R star that we all know and love.
Meh.
Meh.
You can find me on Twitter at Itinerant Baxter. And on Twitter or Facebook, please let us know if there's any topics you'd like us to cover that we have not yet, or topics that you'd like us to revisit that we didn't say enough about. We can always return to topics and talk more about them.
Absolutely.
You can find us at LTUE, Life, the Universe, and Everything, from February 13th through the 15th
Bunch
in
of
Provo,
panels.
Utah. at the Marriott,
Wander
downtown
in.
Marriott
There's
Hotel.
probably a good chance one of us will be there.
Yep, we'll be around.
But the important one, though, is the one that's about our podcast.
Yes.
Saturday the 15th.
Yeah,
too.
you may also enjoy the Star Wars one just before that.
Oh,
so.
yeah, that too. Watch Chris and I almost certainly rage flip a table when somebody
Hey, we'll
comments
see.
how much
Who
they
knows?
love it.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be.
I'm intrigued to see what kind of break up we get, because none of the people on that panel with us are people that I know. I know a lot
You
of
and
the
me
people.
against the rest of the panelists, Chris.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I'm tempted to look them up on Twitter and see what they've been posting about this. Or
That's a good idea.
Or if anything, it's very confusing to me that there are people who don't just constantly post about their opinions on their Star Wars opinions.
I don't know anybody like that.
Yeah. I did enjoy this meme that Jenny Nicholson posted this week, which was
She's delightful.
She
I've
is
decided.
delightful. I love her, but it was a picture of Kylo Ren holding Rey, just about to bring her back to life, because that's a thing we've put into Star Wars now, and it would just had her. Rey was labeled me, thinking that I'm all burned out on having Rise of Skywalker opinions, and I've said all I have to say on that. And then it has Kylo labeled Chris Terrio giving another interview. And,
Oh man.
and I'm just yeah, that is truth. It's just they keep saying things that I'm just wow, I didn't think this movie could get worse, but you're making it worse constantly. Wow, that's impressive.
Where can they find you?
Itinerant Baxter. Yep.
There you go.
Like I said. And until we see you next, may the Force be with you.
Always.
I'm Anna Graves, and thank you for listening to a more civilized podcast.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Got your lists.
I do.
I made mine last night. So come on.
Get you being prepared.
I know. Yeah, I actually just jotted down the running list I have in my head at all times.
Mine like a computer. This one.
Well, sorry. An old computer.
Okay.